Quick story about these two. I taught both of them in the MIS program, and so they probably have a lot of secrets that they could share that I probably don't want shared. You can look at this as their polar opposites. Yin and yang. Jenna's speech can bristle. Hope's pretty black and white. So I hope you guys enjoy the session today, and please ask questions. I think it's going to be interactive based upon what they posted on the wall, so I think you guys got work to do. So I'm just going to turn it over to them and let them go for it.
Okay, everyone, before we get started, can you guys scan the QR code? I feel like I have a duty to do that. I didn't know if we were actually going to do it, but I remember when I was in the leadership conference, it was a mandatory thing.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to get credit from one of your professors, make sure you're signing in.
Okay, before we get started, we're going to do things a little bit differently. So raise your hand if you know the person sitting next to you. I saw you guys all talk with everyone. You know the person next to you. Please take the next 30 seconds, get up, move around to someone you don't know, and meet your neighbor. Go.
So to get started here, we want to ask this question. Are you ready for the real world, or are you just ready for the next classroom? I feel like that's a lot of, we have a lot of thoughts about that when we're in college. Is this going to be like real life? Am I prepared for the next step? So we're going to spend the next little bit talking about things that we did to make that step, and then things that we think can help you make that step.
Okay, so introduction of the speakers. My name is Jenna Mallberg, and here are the fun things that I like to do. During our slides, you'll get to hear our boring stories about what we did in university and Greek life and orgs and whatever. But here's the fun things. I love to travel. You can see on the top corner and the bottom corner are some of the countries I've been to. France and London. I'm going to Germany in December. I'm going to Italy next year. Traveling the world has been incredibly enriching. You learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much about other people. When you're in the airport and you're like, holy shh, get out of my way, I have the next flight to catch, you really learn a lot about yourself, and you start to pray for patience. Like, maybe God made this happen for a reason. Some other things that I love to do is walk and go to Pilates. I started Pilates senior year of college because I couldn't stop thinking. I was like, I'm thinking about school, I'm thinking about my student org, I'm thinking about next steps, and I just want to turn my brain off. Well, when you're holding a plank for 2 minutes, your brain's off. So get up, get moving, do something. I love to walk as well. You can see a picture of me walking. I have headphones in, but I've learned the best way to walk is without any headphones. Just talk to yourself for 2 to 3 miles and really get your mind straight, because I promise you, you are not thinking like in a sound way when you are around so much noise. When you get into a walk, you kind of hear the signal. You understand the next steps, you know the path forward, and so highly recommend anything to get your body moving and your mind quiet. This picture down here is my family. They're a hoot and a holler. They're a smart-ass, fun group of people. My youngest sister, she goes to the University of South Carolina. She's a marketing major, and I've been convincing her to try to change the management information systems. I'm not doing a very good job, so we'll let her be for a little bit. My older sister, right next to me, with the beautiful hair, she's in nursing school right now, and then my parents are halfway retired, also traveling the world with me, which is kind of the best part, is I'm traveling with my parents, which kind of makes it free $99 in a way, so highly recommend. Up here, you'll see some boring pictures. I'll get into it in my story, but really excited to introduce Hope and talk about what she loves to do.
All right, so sports fans, just ignore my shirt and that top picture. We'll get to that in just a second. But here's a couple pictures about me. I kind of followed Jenna's same deal. In these two far corners are some pictures of some landscapes from my travel. I travel a lot for work, so this top corner here is Maui, and down there in the bottom is Las Vegas. A lot of people love Las Vegas. I hate Las Vegas. To me, it's a glorified Myrtle Beach. Then you have my sweet daughter here in her little ECU onesie. That was on the day I graduated from ECU. This is an updated picture of her there with her ice cream the other day at school. She's almost 7 now, so. I was talking to Dr. Kissling and I was like, wow, I can't believe I graduated that long, but it's okay. I'm a little bit different when it comes to the gym. I do not do Pilates, I lift. I actually am coming off of a surgery, so humbling experience in the gym, going from lifting heavy to 15 pounds, but that's okay. It's all about the journey. And then my 2 fluffy pups here, Murphy is the pity mix there. He never stops moving, so that's one of the only pictures I have of him. And then my old man, Tiger, is my childhood dog. Swear he's immortal. I think he's a vampire, actually. But this is my personal life. I'll get into my professional here in a bit. I'm so happy to be here. Pleasure to be here. Can't wait to meet all of you.
Okay, now for the boring stuff. So,
It's not boring.
Well, it's boring. It's going to be helpful. The boring stuff is actually helpful for what's next. The fun stuff is helpful toward your mind. If you have a good balance, then you know you're going to be successful. So I graduated in 2023 with a bachelor's degree in management information systems. I started off as a marketing major. My mom, she spent 23 years in marketing. She was such a powerhouse. And she was fun, and she was in front of people, and she was making cute graphics. And I said, you know, that sounds fun. I could do that. And for a little bit, I did. For a little bit, I was like, you know what? Let's do the marketing thing. It kind of aligns with maybe my personality. And I had come to realize that it just wasn't for me. It wasn't the challenge I was looking for, and it didn't have the evolution that I wanted. So I switched over to management information systems about a year and some change in, and I realized this is the place to be. After my introduction of computers class, it made me realize, like, hey, tech is ever evolving. We're on an AI boom right now. Next 10 years, it's going to be supercomputing. Last 10 years, it was the cloud. The last 10 years before that was the internet. So if you keep following that trend line, it's only going up. So having a degree in management information systems was never a waste. I had 2 job offers by the end of my career here at ECU for consulting and a business analyst role. I'm scrolling on Instagram, and I see this long, dramatic post. And I was like, oh, give me a break. Why are we posting 5 paragraphs about our graduation at ECU? Everyone's doing it. But in the last paragraph, it said, free MBA at the College of Business. So I said, whoa, free MBA? Well, you can't pass up free. What is this all about? I ended up texting one of my professors, Dr. Killingsworth. The Dr. K is getting confused. Sorry. Dr. Killingsworth, and I said, what is this all about? And she goes, well, it's a new thing they're starting this year, and I didn't know you wanted to go to grad school. Like, do you want to go? Do you want to try this out? I was like, why not? Like, this seems fun. Yeah, it was really fun. So I ended up getting a referral or recommendation from Dr. Killingsworth. She said, you know, here's this great girl. Let her speak her word. I ended up texting the director on the same day she sent a recommendation letter over. I sent my resume, I sent her letter of interest, and I said, you know, I know you have everyone you need. There's 11 students at the time. It's capped, but this is why I would make a great asset to your program. And she goes, I love how assertive you are. Come in for an interview. And the next thing I knew, I was in the first cohort of the IMBA, which was pretty epic. It definitely put me on my feet. Constantly, you could ask Dr. Kissling, you could ask Dr. Grubb. It really made me uncomfortable. It was the best kind of uncomfortable you could have, especially in college. I had to get up, I was cold called, I didn't do super well as I did in undergrad, but guess what? I prevailed. I met 11 new best friends, we still talk today, and I've learned so much for that program. So I'm a huge advocate of the IMBA program. If you guys want to talk to me about it after, let me know. Moving on to number 2, it kind of takes 3 steps back from my East Carolina University experience. It's what I did outside of the classroom. So I was in a sorority, Zeta Tau Alpha, and I started in 2020, right after COVID. And I said, I just want to join for leadership opportunities because the social aspect comes with it, right? The fun aspect comes with it, the dressing up aspect comes with it, the philanthropy aspect comes with it, the networking opportunities come with it. But I want to join for leadership. Once I grabbed my spot in Zeta Tau Alpha, I said, I'd like to be the Panhellenic delegate. The Panhellenic delegate is a liaison from the chapter to Panhellenic government. So I spent some time in that role and I realized I want to have impact at scale. I had no prior experience being a leader besides that. Yes, I was captain of my cheer team, I led group projects, but this was the real deal. When I had applied, I interviewed my butt off, I was slated for the role, and when you're a Panhellenic, you have to send your slate all to the chapters. So I'm anxiously waiting for 1,500 women to vote on me being the president. I finally get the call, the slate has passed, and everyone in my sorority gave me the biggest hug. It was the best feeling in the world. But just to kind of pick up the story, my presidency was amazing. We held 5 programs, the largest one having 1,600 people in it. We rented out Minji's, we had so much fun. But really what I'm most proud of is this line underneath. Authentic women, powerful opportunities. Now, if you're in the Panhellenic Association today, you know exactly what it means. You probably went to a new member committee, new member meeting about what this means. But I really had the opportunity to move this needle. I moved forward on this. So what it means is we had plenty of people who thought Greek life was just a filter on the screen. They saw what they saw in movies, and that was a perception. We realized that Greek was dying. It was getting low, we needed people in there. We wanted to change the perceptions of people coming into college. So we rebranded the entire organization to Authentic Women, Powerful Opportunities. We talked to presidents, we talked to Panhellenic delegates. Everyone was involved in making this brand. And it was so great. We did campaigns, we had social media that lined up. Every new group now learns about why they have Authentic Women, Powerful Opportunities. Because the women in sororities, they weren't just a filter on the screen. They were doctors, nurses, business execs, they were moms, they were anyone you can think of. And that is really important to me and to people coming into East Carolina University. When I was revealing the brand, I was right on the stage. All the ballrooms were built, 800 plus people, and I'm up here reading off a really boring script. Blah, 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 blah. It started sounding like that Charlie Brown episode with his teacher. It's like, so I realized when reading it, I started to mess up a little and trip over my words. And I didn't even notice it, but I go, oh shit, I just fucked up in front of 800 people and faculty. And it was the most embarrassing moment, so I had thoughts, right? It got very scary. I was like, oh, how am I gonna recover from this? I tried to laugh it off. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I'm super nervous. I ended up recovering really well. I get off the stage, I'm beating myself up over it, till the entire program is over. 20 plus women line up. You know, you made that so much better. You were so much less nervous. It was so much more fun. I had the best laugh. You made me feel like I could do this. You made yourself more approachable. From that opportunity, from the book, to even getting called on campus now, I had just realized, yeah, it was embarrassing at first, but I had to retrain my mind to say, your authenticity is magnet. And that kind of goes to what Taylor was saying, you have to be you. And so I was not remembered for having a 1,600 person program or having a really great recruitment, but I was remembered for saying, oh shit, I fucked up. And I was remembered for making someone's life more approachable and comfortable because of it. And speeding it up again, and I know you're like, shut up, woman. 3 through 4 and 5, I currently work at a company called Internet 2 as an associate program manager. I moved into the Young Alumni Council when I realized, hey, I want to give back to a university that has given so much to me. And this is where I am now, number 5. So now I have the pleasure of handing you off to Hope. Her story is completely different than mine in the best way.
Thank you so much. Almost forgot to say about the Cowboys. Panthers fans in here. Rico Dowdle was a Cowboys last year, so you can thank us for that win. Thank you, Jenna, for sharing your story. She's exactly right. Our stories are very different, but we have some things that our paths have crossed on, starting with East Carolina University. So I got my BSBA in accounting and MIS. Accounting was an afterthought, and I should have left it as a thought because I hate accounting, and I did not perform very well in accounting. So it was just kind of a little sprinkle on top there. I loved MIS. You can see there I was AITP president. That has now been rebranded to AIS. So if you are an MIS or a comp sci major and you are interested in getting involved, AIS is a great way to do that. I was also vice president for SLB, which is Student Leadership Board. So I was very involved on campus. I was also a tutor for economics. So anything and everything I could do to just get a little bit of a different view of campus. So for those presidencies, I was really big on networking, both collegiate and professional. So my peers, I was networking with my peers, but I was also networking with my faculty, alumni, all different types of folks from different experiences there. Also just that leadership experience, being in a leadership role. I kind of did a little different than Jenna, where she went for her MBA soon after her BSBA. I waited 2 years after graduation to go back and get a master's. I went to UNC Charlotte. That was closer to me, unfortunately. I live about 3 hours from East Carolina. So making that commute just wasn't going to happen. But I could commute down to Charlotte. I made that work. And then I was actually sitting in class one day at UNC Charlotte, and I got a call from Motorola Solutions offering me a job. I had several job opportunities at this moment, but I had just closed on a house, so I had to make a decision. So I accepted with Motorola. It's a great company to work for, great position that I have. I love what I do. I travel some, as I mentioned, completely remote other than when I travel. Jenna hates that. I love that. Again, there's our differences. But something was missing. I didn't want to leave Motorola because I love the company so much. I love my team. I love my boss. But something was missing. I wasn't being challenged. I wasn't being pushed like I wanted to be. So I reached out to Dr. Kissling, and I was like, hey, I think one day I want to be a professor. How can I get some experience on that? And he's like, well, we have a couple open positions that are going to open up soon. Go ahead and apply. You can do online classes. So I put my application in, and I haven't heard anything, and I'm pestering him. Hey, is there any movement on that? He's like, actually, could you start right now, like today? And I was like, yeah, sure. What's up? And he was like, well, one of our instructors had a medical emergency. She can't finish out the semester. Can you jump in? So this kind of speaks to Taylor's mantra of say yes. Was I ready to be a teacher? Had I, had the months to prepare? No. I put in an application and then it was there. So I took it, and that was the gap. That was the gap between I didn't want to leave my job. I didn't want to completely restart, but I wanted something to push me further. So definitely wanted to share that with you, because you don't have to completely change your life to add a little bit more or do something a little bit different. So I say all of that to kind of lead into the road ahead, which we're going to talk about here in the next few slides. And this is where we're going to get a lot of interaction from you guys as well. So kind of wake up, get ready, here we go. Want to start? I guess it's fine right at the top. So kind of bouncing off of Motorola, we want to kind of bridge that gap between what you learn at East Carolina. So we talked about our Leadership 7, we pulled 4 here. And then we pulled a couple of values from our companies. So the two that I picked there at the top are empathy and exclusion. Inclusion, sorry. Woo. Inclusion. Yeah, no, we exclude at Motorola, I'm just kidding. So empathy and inclusion. So the big thing at Motorola is we serve everybody all across the nation, the globe. So we have client sites from tiny little 100-officer employee shops to, greater Houston area, Chicago, Philly, Las Vegas Metro. Those are all of our clients. But the big thing is we need to treat everyone the same. Las Vegas Metro is probably paying us millions more than Huber Heights, Ohio. But we have to go there every single time and treat them the same way, because we want to have that empathy. We want to have that inclusion to where, like Jenna said, you feel more approachable. Like you can walk up to someone and talk with them. They're not just a dollar sign.
I have growth. So has anyone been through a hard time? I'm sure you have. Go ahead, raise your hand. Admit it, right? Growth looks different. For me, it's not the skills you're learning through MIS. It's not financial modeling. It's not that next internship, but it's actually your mindset. It's how you view things, and that in turn makes you more resilient. Internet 2 values resiliency because we're in industry, higher ed, research, that is just ever evolving, right? You can see with the administration that funds are getting cuts in universities. It's hard for them to procure software. But you have to be on your feet. You have to roll with the punches. And so growth is such an incredible Leadership 7 value for you guys to understand, because it's not those technical skills. It's not that next career bump, but it's the mindset that you have. That is so important. That really bad day had some really great things happen in it. The shit sandwich, I love to call the IMBA, was the best thing that I've gone through so far, right? The thing I had said in front of everyone, I effed up, was really embarrassing until I could flip my mindset and say, you know what, this is actually fun and helpful, and it made me more approachable. Having that mindset, having any kind of mindset to see the positive in everything will help you work wonders. It will show up in everything you do, every time you talk, and it then in turn makes you more adaptable. When you're interviewing with these companies, I hope that you're saying, my number one strength, one of my strengths is being adaptable, being resilient. Having a growth mindset is not about the next opportunity, but it is finding the opportunity within the now. And that's incredibly important for your next steps. That is something that you can do and have and practice on this campus right now. That 0 you got on your exam, that's okay. Life is so much bigger than the 0 you got. You can recover from that if you work a little bit harder, right? That position you didn't get an SGA, that's okay. There are things that are open that will best fit what you have, what the leader you want to become will look like. So that is really important to my company. Staying on your toes, rolling with the punches, realizing this is not going to go through, your work was wasted, but then finding a time to say, it wasn't wasted, I have learned so much from it, and yes, this is disappointing, but I've learned and grown from that.
One quick note, I'm glad Jenna just cussed in hers. One presentation I gave, I cried. And just pretended like I was just so moved by what I was saying that I was emotional. I was nervous as hell. So there's always a way to recover. You have to roll with it. So just to speak on that, roll with the punches, keep it moving. At the end of the day, if you cried a little bit, oh well. Wipe your tears and keep it moving. The next thing that I wanted to talk about here was integrity and accountability is what I like to say, but I was trying to keep it with what Motorola says. And I wanted to share a little story with this one. So when I was interviewing with Motorola, one of the questions that they asked me was, out of the values of Motorola, what is the one that speaks to you most and why? And it was accountability. And I tell them, I'm like, accountability is really big for me. Like, I've worked in a lot of group projects. I've done a lot of things where people didn't show up. And I'm out here giving my absolute all, and these people don't care. or I can't get them to see why it's important. You know, that accountability comes from within. So I kind of go through this whole deal, and you know, I'm like, I understand that people are human and life happens, and most of the time when people mess up, it's because something personal that's going on. So normally that first couple times, you can just talk to them, figure out what's going on. How can I help you? How can I be there for you? You know, and after I went through all of this, they said, well, what if you do all of that and they're still not accountable? I said, get them out of here. If they're not aligned with our values, then why are they here? And that's the same thing for you. When you're looking for a company to work for, if it doesn't align with your personal values, get the hell out of there. Because they're not going to see you for you. They're not going to see you for what you want to do. And they're going to see you as a way to make money. So, I say, and this is the same for empathy, inclusion, everything we got up here. Make sure it speaks to you so you can speak on it.
That was good. That was good. My last thing here is competence. Competence is just problem solving. We're all built to solve a problem. We're all a solution to a problem. Find the problems you're a solution to. Competence, again, is just problem solving, and you can practice problem solving, obviously, in your academic endeavors, but definitely in a student organization. I led an exec board of 8 VPs who also had, roundtables under them, panel-ending delegates, panel-ending presidents, and I served 1,500 women in the community, 11 chapters, and we put on something called sorority recruitment. Sorority recruitment tracks 400 to 700 women into our community. It's a really heavy lift. You start planning in January, it ends at the end of August, sometimes into September. And we had a VP of recruitment who just wasn't hitting the mark. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're 2 months out. What are you doing? Like, it's freaking me out. I ended up having a ton of conversations with her. Hey, is everything okay? What can I do to help you? How can I support you? And she just wasn't showing up. She was showing up physically, but she wasn't showing up mentally. And I had wrote a case for her removals after bylaws. And once I sent it to her, she calls me immediately. She wants to talk. Okay, I'll talk. We sit in this room, this conference room, and this is the part where Taylor's like, crucial conversations are hard. Crucial conversations are hard, but you just gotta do it. She looked across the room from me, and she just broke down and started crying. She's telling me everything she didn't want to tell me. She was holding it all in, and I said, thank you so much for telling me. I support you completely. I'm here for you, and I really want to keep you on board, but I cannot trust that you're about to lead one of the biggest events for Panhellenic Sorority Association. She goes, so what now? This is where competence is coming in. And said, we have a great group here. What if I just switch you with our VP of philanthropy? Our VP of philanthropy was very sharp, and she could get things done. And she was like, that's honestly perfect because I need to step back from this. I need to step back from this. And I said, okay, let's do it. So we switched her roles. The VP of philanthropy came in. The VP of recruitment went to philanthropy. And we put on an amazing on-time recruitment. We welcomed 500 women into our community. Such a great year. But problem solving comes from being in those types of situations, being in a student board and leading a student board. Okay, next. So we have here, the rules don't change, the stage does. Because everything that you're doing in the classroom, whether it is presenting or whether you're in a student board, is going to translate to the corporate life. Believe it or not, that public speaking skill, those problem solving skills, those HR skills, those personal skills that you're hitting on working with a difficult person in your group, that is what's happening in the real world. So can everyone raise their hand if they're in some kind of student organization? Raise a hand, please. Okay.
Great. I was expecting only a little bit, but we still gotta get those numbers up.
Okay, keep them up. Keep your hand up if you've been to 3+ meetings this semester.
okay. Don't be embarrassed. It's okay.
Yeah, if not,
Life
like,
happens, man.
be honest.
It's all right.
yeah, keep your hand up if you lead a student organization or you're on an exec board.
You're an officer, you're a VP, you're a president, historian, PR,
You
marketing.
see those hands drop? It's a huge gap. And that's the difference of actually just being on the roster versus taking ownership. You have the opportunity right now to take ownership, to show up, to lead. It doesn't have to look perfect. I didn't think I could do it. You guys can too, right? I cussed on stage, you deal with crazy advisors. Almost said the A word. You deal with crazy advisors. That is stuff you need to learn for the corporate life. There's something called the Peter Principle, and Dr. Grubb is going to be proud of me for this one because we learned it in our IMBA class. The Peter Principle means you're rising to the highest level of your incompetence. It means you'll rise to a job that you thought you can't do anymore, eventually. If you're a salesperson, for example, Drew, management. For example, Drew's in sales. If you're hitting quota 100%, do you think you're going to get promoted? Probably. The answer is yes. So you'll get promoted because you're doing really well. You're making quota. You've now gotten promoted. Now you're doing so great, they promote you to sales manager, but you have no experience leading. He's going to be the worst manager ever. Same thing with engineers. You can be really good at coding, but you can be really sucky at dealing with people. Moral of the story is you have the ability to lead now and to learn these things on campus, and so why not get involved?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say one thing to add on this. Do it while you have protection. You have your faculty advisor, you have your friends, you have professors that you love. In the real world, if you and your boss weren't getting along, what are you going to do? Level up, go to the director, complain about that? No. I mean, if it's really bad, maybe. But get that practice now, where you have people that care about you and want you to succeed, because not everybody does. There are things that you deal with on campus. I mean, Jenna talked about, advisors that may not be up to par. I dealt with the same thing. You deal with people who don't want to see you succeed, who put their pride over your success. So do that now. Get experience now where you have other people you can go to. One faculty advisor doesn't do what you need to do. There's a million in bait. There's other professors, there's instructors, there's faculty members that can help you. You're not stuck to just one person to help you. So get that experience now, get that exposure now, so it's not a shell shock when you get to the real world.
The best part about being a student leader on campus, no matter what capacity, is you can do whatever you want. If you want to put on a finance conference, well, the COB has done two now. If you want to put on an event that holds 1,600 people, you can do that. You can do whatever you want, but this is the place to do it, and this is the place to start. And so if you have big ambitions and big goals, which I hope you all do, why not have a test run here? Because what you're going to learn is failure brings you freedom. And if you're not learning those skills now, if you're not fixing your mindset now, you're not growing. You're not becoming resilient, and then you are just a dud in the workplace.
Yeah, I could have been up here crying today if I didn't grow from what I did back when I was at campus. So make those mistakes now. Trip up now. Don't do it when it really matters, when it might be your pay or your house or your whatever. The economy sucks. If you lose your job, you're probably going to lose everything. So make those mistakes now. Be okay with making those mistakes. Again, like what Taylor said and what Jenna said, be your authentic self. If that comes with mistakes, so be it. Everybody else makes mistakes too.
So hand one.
We can start performing. She was doing Sharpay earlier. I can do Hannah Montana.
So we're going to get up for a stretch break. This is where activities come in. All right, you want to explain the activity? I'll pass things out?
Yes. All right, so, as we kind of asked some questions earlier, we saw those hands come down, where you're not in those leadership roles. So we want to ask you, what's stopping you? What's stopping you from stepping into those leadership roles? Is it because you feel like you're not competent enough? Are you scared? Are you nervous? Do you just not know about the student organizations or the opportunities that are out there? So that's what we want you to write down first. What is stopping you from being the leader you want to be? And this doesn't have to mean like being a president or being a vice president. Just like Taylor said, you don't have to have a title to be a leader. So what's stopping you now from being the leader you want to be? And as you're thinking about that, I'm going to explain the next question here. This is a shortened question. What is one tool you need? But if I could wrap up a gift, or if Jenna could wrap up a gift, one of our skills, technical, soft skills, what have you, if we could wrap up a gift and hand it to you, what would that gift be? What do you think, if you were given it today, that you could be a leader? Whatever that may mean to you. When you get done writing that, you can use 2 sticky notes if you want, or write both on each. But there are big Post-it notes up here on each side. Use this time to stretch your legs, slap those up there on the Post-it note, and we'll come back around to these in a little bit.
All right. Well, everyone is sitting down. We're going to address these at the end, but we have some wrap-up slides before we get into addressing some of these sticky notes, and then we'll be behind for questions at the end. The first one, an obvious takeaway, is get involved, right? We saw all the hands go up. We saw all the hands go down, right? That is something that you can change getting out of this room today, or leaving this room. Getting out doesn't make sense. But leaving this room today, you can sign up for a student org. You can apply to be a president. You can apply to be on a student board. Whatever that might be, that is something that you can do today. Get involved like your life depends on it, because it's fun. To learn people, to learn perspective, to have a radical open mind, that's really fun. And that's something you need for the real world. Do you have anything on get involved?
Yeah, just mirroring that, I mean, the 2 best decisions I ever made at East Carolina was crawling out of my dorm bed on that cool, I think it was a Tuesday evening, and going to a student leadership board meeting, and I think AITP used to meet on Wednesdays or Mondays. So it was back to back, but those were the 2 best decisions I made at ECU. And that's because I now have connections like Dr. Kissling and, Ms. Winkler, but she wasn't because of a student org, she was just a great professor. So you have those connections that you will carry throughout your whole life. Even if it's not a professional setting, maybe it's just a friend, maybe it's just someone you can call and, touch base with when you're going through something, or, they went through something similar and, you want to bounce some ideas off of them. So don't think of it as just another chore. Think of it as a way to expand your relationships and expand yourself as well. So I'm big on stay curious. Jen and I both went back to school. But you don't have to go back to school to stay curious and keep learning. You don't have to go get a whole another degree. There's certificate programs that are shorter, but also you could do it at work or even on your own. We live in the day and age of internet and Google and all of this stuff. I won't say ChatGPT because some of that stuff, don't listen to it. But the world is your oyster. You can go and teach yourself anything. You can gain that knowledge and take it to the next thing that you go and do. And just wondering why. Why does this work like this? Why do I act like that? Why do I talk like that? Why do they talk like that? And figure out where you're at and where you want to be and bridge that gap.
The more you know about other people and the more you know about yourself is when you can start giving people grace. Because everyone deserves it and everyone has earned it. And when you give someone grace, you make a connection. When you make a connection, you make a friend, you make a colleague, you make a mentor, you make a mentee. And that's what's needed in this world. So stay curious, get to know other people, read a book about Steve Jobs or somebody you admire. Listen to a podcast on, how to knit. Who knows? But stay curious. A lot of times in this world, people are just comfortable. They're not learning. Take the opportunity to do so. I see a lot of just first glance is time. I will get to a time spiel in a second, but the thing you have to do is find out what your priorities are. And one of your priorities should be staying curious. Last slide coming up. Lead now, not later, right? That's the entire presentation.
That's the entire conference.
Yeah. So shout out to Taylor for being the youngest speaker. She's amazing. Leave now, because you have the opportunity to do so, and it's gonna take a minute to have that leader title in your job. But if you're already developing the mentality of a leader, then it's already there and it's already done. People do not want to lead. People don't want to be uncomfortable. People don't want to mess up. People don't want to fail forward, and that's a problem. We need leaders in this world. So go find yourself being a leader. Meet someone new. It could be small. Read about a leader. You have to fake it till you make it. That is what confidence is. All right.
I was just going to mention really quick, I like to talk about manage up when it comes to leading now. That's a big mantra at Motorola, is managing up. And that can be confused as, oh, well, I'm not going to do my manager's job. They're in charge. They should be doing their job. But as someone, who wants to see themselves in a position of leadership or wants to better themselves, why not speak up? Why not manage up if you see an issue there? Are you gonna let your whole team fail just because you couldn't put your pride aside because you don't have that manager title or the director title? Be okay with being in the position you're in, but reaching for the position you want to be in. Act like, fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Be who you want to be today in the position you're in today, and watch the opportunities find you.
Continuously chase your highest self. And that starts with what you do when you walk out of this ballroom. We're gonna find one or two themes, we're gonna speak on them real quick, and then we're gonna release you, because we have been yapping for a while now. Over here, the first theme that I saw for what's stopping you is confidence. Confidence, confidence, confidence. I don't have the confidence to do it. I'm scared to do it. There's no reason to be afraid. You're like, oh, that's chewy and boring, and everybody tells me that. But it's true that Dr. Grubb was a beginner. Dr. Grubb was afraid of failing. Dr. Grubb didn't have confidence at one point. Dr. Grubb now has confidence. Dr. Grubb is now a leader. Dr. Grubb is an amazing professor here. But it's all from the beginning in that mindset. So it's not, I'm scared of failure, I don't have the confidence, is I'm going to build the confidence. Failure brings me freedom. Failure moves the needle. I got up, I told you many stories about speaking in front of 800 people, about cussing, about messing up, about having to move around people on the board. I was nervous speaking to you guys before I got started today. Everyone starts somewhere. When we started here, I made you get up and move and to talk to your neighbor, ask them hi, hello, whatever you guys talked about. That is the first step to confidence. Actually following through with it, following through what you said. So nobody is confident when they start. You have to start being confident enough to take the smallest first step. And so that could be getting into a student org if you're not in a student org already. Then it's maybe, oh, I like marketing, I'm going to become the VP of communications. And then it's eventually, I could lead this entire organization. And then it's eventually, I get to the workplace and I have to repeat the same steps over. But if you realize, I'm moving the entire time. And so if you just take this first step, that's all that matters. Confidence is key. You have no reason to be afraid. There are people in your corner and there are people who started just like you. And they will paint the sky purple and gold, but you guys won't if you don't take that first step. Any themes over there, Hope?
Yeah, pretty much about the same. One question that I do want to ask, does anyone know the best way to eat an elephant? Nobody? One bite at a time. If you look at life all at one time, I need to graduate college, I need to get a job, I need to buy a house, I need to get a new car, I need to find a spouse or a partner or whatever, I need to have kids. If you look at it all at one time, it feels like a tidal wave coming towards you. But if you look at it one step at a time, one bite at a time, that's where your confidence is going to come from. Who woke up today and could, program whatever, or, rocket science or whatever. Nobody knows how to do anything day one. So if you take it one step at a time, one bite at a time, that confidence will come. You will find it in yourself. You will find what you're good at and lean into those strengths to hide your weaknesses. No one's ever told you you don't have to have weaknesses. Everybody does. Find your strengths so you can overshadow those weaknesses and nobody would ever know.
You're not here, sorry to
Oh,
interrupt.
you're fine.
You're not here to compete with people, you're here to complete people. So you're not looking at your neighbor as competition, you're looking at your neighbor as what can I make up for that they're not strong at, What is their weakest links? And that's really important today in taking that first step, coming to leadership conference. So many people wrote, I'm lazy, I don't have enough time, I'm not confident, I'm afraid of failure. You just walked into this room. You got dressed and walked into this room. You met someone new in this presentation, at least I hope so, and you made a great new friend. And then you're going to go talk to somebody else, and to somebody else, and somebody else. And then you realize you're walking. You keep moving forward. So we have one more slide.
And while we're switching to that, I'm going to preach on time really quick.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound like, oh, she's better than me. No. I took 8 classes a semester at ECU. I graduated in 3.5 years. I was pregnant my senior year. I ran 2 organizations. I was a tutor. Went back 2 years later with a toddler to get my master's. Time is a construct. It is not real. Time is what you make it. Don't say, you are literally in college to learn. You are literally in college to do what you're doing right now. Yes, go have fun, go to the football games, go downtown, but don't let it get you away from the path that you want to be on. I have so many friends that went to East Carolina that dropped out or just barely squeaked by, and trust me, their lives are completely different than the life I'm living today.
Don't let it pass you by. That growth mindset that we were talking about earlier, it's not getting a new skill. We didn't talk about getting a new skill here. We didn't. We talked about reframing your mindset. This is a small step today. You're going to be walking out of here. You're going to be going to do millions of things. Take what you've learned in this presentation, actually apply it. Get involved, right? We saw all those hands drop. Stay curious, read a book, listen to a podcast, find a new friend, and lead now because you have the opportunity to do so. You can do whatever you want in this life, and why not make it successful?
Yeah, remember, success is a choice, and we hope that you make the right one day in and day out.
So we just yapped at you for way too long, but thank you so much for coming, everyone. We really appreciate your time today.